Thank you for that invitation. Thank you for that welcome. It's an honor to be here with you, sharing kirtan, which, as announced, is a form of meditation based on sound. And sound is very helpful for waking us up. When we're sleeping, we can't smell what's we may smell, but often it translates into something in our dream. We can't see, we can't really feel, we're not conscious of the touch sensation, we're not conscious of the different sensory inputs, but sound penetrates through our sleeping condition and wakes us up. And in yoga, this is considered a metaphor or telling for our condition as souls that may be unconscious or unaware of our spiritual nature lying dormant or sleepy, so to speak, and in need of awakening, waking up to that awareness of our spiritual identity. 5,000 years ago, there was a king named Parikshit. What does Parikshit mean in Sanskrit? Who can say?
Examiner.
The examiner, thank you. The examiner. Any other thoughts? Examiner is a good response, but we might be able to expand or deepen our sense of this word or name, Parikshit. I went to school in India, as was said, and when our exams were coming, they were called parika, the exams. So that's a good way of a good translation for Parikshit. Otherwise, any other ideas?
It's like parikrama, does it?
Like parikrama, all right. Yeah, good try. Parikrama, Parikshit, parikrama.
He was examining each person, he is that supreme personality of God.
Okay, you are also with the examining definition, good. So we're told what he's examining. He's looking, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Because there's a story how when he was in his womb, he was threatened with some violence, and his mother prayed to Krishna, to God, to the divine, please protect my embryo. And there was a response to that prayer. And as a small infant in his mother's womb, he saw a divine presence. He saw Krishna protecting him. And so when he was born, we're told, he was examining, where is he? Where is he? Where is that person who I saw when I was in my mother's womb? He's looking. So Parikshit is a questioner, he's an examiner, he's an inquirer, always inquiring. And so we've been told one reason why he's called the examiner or the inquirer. And there's another reason or another way in which his inquiring or examining nature manifests. And this relates to, so Parikshit, I told you he was a king. He was in fact who was the protagonist, the hero of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue, right? It's between essentially Arjuna and Krishna, right? Okay, so Arjuna, he's the Krishna, he's the teacher, and Arjuna is the student. He's asking questions in the Bhagavad Gita. Who's read the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, lots of us. We encourage all of you, all to read the Bhagavad Gita. And so, it's interesting. So, Parikshit is in fact Arjuna's grandson. Another great warrior, great hero. And in fact, he became the king or emperor of the earth. That's what's told. He became the emperor of the earth. And one day, he was out in the forest, surveying his kingdom, ensuring that there is justice and people are well protected, but he lost his way in the forest. He got separated from the rest of his group, and he was tired and thirsty and hungry. I don't know about you, sometimes when I'm tired and thirsty and hungry, I get a little bit cranky. A little bit cranky. And so Parikshit, a very disciplined warrior, but he also got a little bit cranky, tired, thirsty, and he's going through the forest, he's trying to find his party again. And he came upon a small hermitage where there was a yogi in meditation. He entered that hermitage, he thought he would get some hospitality, some water to drink, maybe something to eat, maybe some guidance, some directions. This is where you are, this is how you get back to your capital. But this yogi was meditating. And so Parikshit, he didn't receive any of that. The yogi was in a deep trance. And so Parikshit was agitated, being tired, thirsty, hungry, and a bit cranky. Sometimes when we're in that position, when we're in that state, that we react to things rather than respond. And so he reacted in an unresourceful manner. This is his low point. He saw a dead snake lying next to the hermitage, and he picked it up with the edge of his bow and he draped it around that yogi's neck as a garland. Yes, very much out of character for the great Parikshit to behave in this manner. But he wasn't his normal self. And so when that yogi's son came back to the hermitage, he saw his father sitting in meditation wearing a dead snake. And he was surprised. Father, what are you wearing? And he heard from some others, the king did this, the emperor did this to your father. And this boy was enraged. He's also reacting now. And he pronounced a curse. He said, this emperor is not qualified to sit on the throne. He will die in... How long did he give him? 7 days. Yeah, many of you know this story. He will die in 7 days. So, this is the point where we can ask a question of ourselves. What would you do if you had 7 days to live? If you knew you had 7 days, how would you use those 7 days? Yeah?
Get as much guitar as I can.
Okay, you want to hear as much about Krishna as possible. Very good. Yeah, someone else like to share? Yeah.
I might just tell everyone in my life that I love them.
Just reach out to everyone and share love. Nice. Anyway, yeah.
I would call my mom.
Call your mom. Mom, I love you. I'm sorry if I ever communicated something that didn't sound like love. Do you want to know what Pariksha, Krishna Kripa?
I think I spend at least one day, like writing all the things that people did or said to inspire me spiritually.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah. So collect all of your everything. Yeah, that's nice. Express gratitude. Everything that inspired you, everyone who inspired you. Do you want to know what Parikshit did? Something wonderful. He invited all the wise people of the world to come and assemble to be with him. He invited them to the bank of the river Ganges. And in that assembly, he asked a very profound question. Can anyone say what the question was? You have all the wise people of the universe. You have an opportunity to ask a question of them. Yes?
Is there anyone out there that can extend my life?
Ah, okay. Yeah, there you are. There's a the pragmatist here. Yeah.
What is the duty of a man about to die?
Ah, okay. So that is the question Parikshit asked. He said, what is the duty of... He actually asked it a couple of times and he phrased it differently. So one was, what is the duty of someone who is about to die? He asked it a second time in a broader way. What is the duty of those who live and those who die? That way, he includes all of us as well, whether we're living, whether we're about to die or in the process of dying. And the wise people, they praised his question. They said, your question is great because it benefits everyone. Everyone can benefit from your question. They said, you are a great person because you don't just think of yourself, but you think of all people. You think of the benefit of all people. So, we had all the wise people of the world and we were to ask a question. That's the question that Parikshit asked. What is the duty of those who live and those who die? And this story is told in a book called the Bhagavata Purana or Srimad Bhagavatam. There is an aphorism in the Vedanta Sutra. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. My teacher, Indrajumna Swami, I traveled with him for 18 years. He often cites this. And he gives the translation. He says, now that we have come to human life, we must inquire. Atato Brahma. What is the nature of spirit? Or what is the absolute truth? This is in fact, this type of questioning is our human strength, our unique human endowment, our unique human capability. Different species, they have different strengths or different unique gifts or capabilities. What's unique? The unique gift of the birds.
Flight.
They can fly, right? They can fly. Okay, there are some others. Butterflies fly, some other insects fly. But that's unique to them. Bears can hibernate for 6 months at a time. Some animals are endowed with great strength, claws and sharp teeth. And as human beings, what is our unique capability?
Inquiry.
That we can inquire as after spiritual. We can ask spiritual questions, existential questions. We can think about our own life, about consciousness, what that means, The other species are incapable of doing this. What we have in common is that we eat, we sleep, we reproduce. There are defense mechanisms. So eating, sleeping, reproducing, defending, they're common across all species. But what is unique in the human form of life is that we can inquire not just about what's for dinner, or that would be a misuse of our human form of life. Of course, that may be a practical and important question, but not the essential question or the purpose of that fulfills the purpose of human life, that fulfills the unique capability of human life. Animals, they eat the food that nature gives them. For cows, it's grass. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They don't even divide it up. It's just all day long. The cows and deer. And so, for most species, nature gives them their food, their habitat, and so on. We have a lot of choice, but we can do more than just use our unique intelligence or capability to acquire in relation to food and reproduction and sleep and defense. We're capable of thinking about our own thinking. We're capable of thinking about our own existence. We're capable of so much more. And so the yogis, they said that that's the actual purpose of we are fulfilling our humanness, our human life, when we engage that capability. Therefore, they glorified Parikshit's question. Your question is great. Your question fulfills human life. Your question enables us to wake up. That's what I started with. Wake up from what? You must say, well, Prahlad, I'm already awake. I woke up this morning or whatever it was. But are we awake? Or are we daydreaming? So this is an interesting teaching of the Veda. Deep sleep, and awake. And the idea is that most of us go through life, maybe not a deep sleep, but a kind of a sleepwalking, where we're reacting to life, not reflecting on it, not questioning it, not understanding it in a deep way, but just reacting to various stimuli, inputs, without questioning. A few months ago, was in Warsaw, in Poland. A friend picked me up at the airport, and he was to drive me to the place where I was going to be staying during my visit, but he ended up driving me back to his house. And as he was nearing his house, I said, really, is this where we're supposed to be? And then he realized, oh no, I was in automatic mode. I was so much enjoying our conversation that I was just acting out of habit, because I was on a road that I drive on almost every day. And so I ended up coming to my house. And so much of our life we're acting out of habit. Deeply ingrained attitudes, values, beliefs, attachments. And we go towards them without thinking. We just follow that path, a path that we have established, that has become a routine, without questioning, without thinking. We're reacting with anger, with lust, with greed, with attachment. And so, waking up from the daydream, That's one of the things that the yogis, they try to help us to do, to become aware of our identity as a spiritual being. When I ask you who you are, conventionally we'll give our name. I'm Harry, I'm Sam, I'm Amrit, I'm whatever our name may be. And I say, oh, that's your name, but who are you? I'm male, female, I'm Australian or American or Indian or... Who are you? That's your nationality. I'm young or old, and that's your age. Who are you? When we understand when we get a sense of who we are, we'll have a clearer sense of our duty to awaken that nature, to awaken that consciousness. Beyond the bodily designations, there is an identity that is called the self. We say, my hand, my head, my eyes, my nose. The eyes, they are organs, but who sees? The ears are an organ. Who hears? Who smells? Who tastes? We can replace my eyeballs don't work that well. They require lenses to help me see. But so who is that me who sees, who hears, who tastes, who smells? If I'm not those organs, if I'm not this body. When I was very young, my father's friend, his name was Rob, he passed away. We went to the funeral. My auntie passed away yesterday, but this is a different story. I was speaking to my father this morning. So here we are, my father again. I was very young. We went to the funeral, everyone saying, Rob is gone, Rob is gone. And I was small, like, Rob is gone, Rob is gone. Where did he go? And people are crying, handkerchiefs. I went to the front of the room and I found Rob. He was lying in a box. Dad, I found him! He's over here! Dad, he's here! It's Rob! He's sleeping. People are telling me, shh, be quiet, be quiet. My dad called me over and says, that's not Rob. No, it is, Dad, I saw him there. That's his body. Rob has gone. The soul, the Atman, has passed away, has moved on. So the yogis are encouraging us, the yoga teaching, the bhakti-yoga tradition is all the spiritual traditions of the world, in fact, are encouraging us to wake up to that nature, to that identity. How do we connect with that? To stop reacting, going through life in the daydream, but to wake up and become aware of our spiritual nature and to identify and engage from that platform of spiritual consciousness. And so that's what the wise people gathered on the bank of the Ganges encouraged Parikshit to do. How to do it? They told him. He only has 7 days, right? So should this thing take a very long time? They told him it actually doesn't matter how much time you have. You could do it very quickly, or you could do it over a very long period of time. But they encouraged him to be aware of his spiritual nature and connect with sacred sound. His spiritual nature in relation to the Supreme Spiritual Being. That connection can be established. A yoga can be established through kirtan. They told him to engage in kirtan, to hear, to use the ears, to connect with sacred, to hear sacred sound, to speak sacred sound with devotional sentiment, with devotional feeling, and connect with the supreme spiritual source and awaken spiritual consciousness. And how long does it take? They told him, some people can do it in a moment. They gave the example of one great famous devotee, king, yogi. They said Katvangana, he was able to do it in 12 minutes or 12 seconds, depends on how you translate, nimitta. Other people, they do it over a lifetime or many lifetimes. The good news is that it doesn't just depend on us. In bhakti, we reach out to the supreme divine spiritual source, and then there is a response. We take our step, and then there is a reciprocation. It's not one way. The example given is that it's not welcome. The example is given that it's not like in India, you'll see the monkey, baby monkey, holding on to its mother's neck. So how does the monkey carry her young? Little baby monkey has to hold on. How does the cat carry her young? In her jaws, right? So the kitten is quite secure there in the jaws of her mother. What about that little monkey holding on to its mother? Not so secure. Sometimes they can fall. The mother's jumping from one tree branch to the next. So what's our position then in bhakti-yoga? Are we the kitten or are we the little monkey holding on? The monkey, it's not very secure. But then the kitten is depending on its mother entirely. And so do you understand the metaphors? Yeah? Yeah. So there's another metaphor given, is that our position in Bhakti Yoga is like the person in the well. Someone gets stuck in a well, and they call out, "Help!" And then somebody comes with a rope, throws it down. Here, hold on. Somebody at the bottom holds on, somebody at the top is pulling. And so it's a combination. It's not just the monkey holding on, it's not just the kitten depending or relying on someone to carry them. But there is some effort made and a reciprocation, a support that is provided. And so when we call out with this sacred chanting, we call out to awaken our own spiritual identity, spiritual nature. We call out and connect with the supreme divinity, personality of Godhead. And there's a reciprocation of mercy or grace that is given as well. And so it is a very powerful process. That's why it gets emphasized here at Bhakti School. Not only do we sing, we also meditate with this mala as well. Japa mala. Any of you engaged in japa chanting before? Yeah? Quite a few. Yeah, so it's the same mantra that we've been singing. We chant it on beads like this. We do it as a meditation practice. It's very powerful, very satisfying. Okay, so I'll conclude there. Any reflections, questions, comments? You have been very engaged, responding to my questions. Maybe you have a question for me. Yes?
I hear a lot because when I read the bhakti-yoga, it doesn't, I don't get it.
Uh-huh, yeah.
I just listen.
Right,
I'm hearing about the Atma, and then there's the super soul.
right, yeah.
I connect with the Atma, well, I think I do. I call it, I gave it a name, but it's like a silent witness.
Yeah, yeah,
That I gave a name to.
yeah,
And, but then there's that super soul.
right,
They say they're like two birds.
right, yeah.
Can't connect with the super soul.
Okay,
And it's kind of easy. The Atma is like this, they're watching me. But where's the super soul?
right.
How to connect that?
Yeah, okay. Thank you for your question. So there's a question about the witness and the Paramatma or super soul. And this is a nice question, because when in the bhakti-yoga tradition, when they say, who is God or what is God? And the way Parikshit learned about God in that story that I was telling you is most wonderful. So there are different manifestations of the divinity. One manifestation is the divinity that is present everywhere, present in nature, present in all things as an expansion of the divine. Where has everything come from? It is manifest from the divine. We can appreciate God's presence in a beautiful sunrise, in a rainbow, in flowers that are blooming in spring. So that's one what sometimes when we see these things, we feel some kind of upliftment, a sense of awe, a sense of wonder, a sense of beatitude. We feel connecting. Somehow we're connecting with something wonderful and profound and divine. And so that's one manifestation of the divine present, but that's not all. Yeah. Another manifestation of the divine is as a witness or as a friend within the hearts of all living beings. That's called Param Atma, or Supreme Soul, or Super Soul. Your guide, your friend, who's always there with you when you pray, when you have a doubt, when you have a prayer, when you have a question, when you need insight or inspiration or guidance. There's the yoga teachings explain that friend is there for you, is with you to guide you. If you connect, if you open yourself and reach out, you can experience the guidance and the blessings and care of the divine with you. That's the super soul that you're asking about. Yeah. And then a third aspect is as a person with whom you can have a loving relationship. Like you love your friend, like you may love your family members, like you may love any person with whom you have a personal, with whom you have a relationship. So the yoga teachings explain you can have a relationship like that with God as well, as your friend, as your father, mother, beloved. So that personal relationship is the most complete, the source of Paramatma, and the source of the world, or the presence everywhere, is the personality of Godhead. And we use the name Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. It's a really wonderful name for addressing the divine, because if I tell you, you're smart, you'll feel complimented and happy. If I say, you're so beautiful, you'll feel complimented by that. If I tell you, you're so detached, or if I say, you're so strong, all of those complements, they are encompassed in this name, Krishna. It means all attractive, unlimited beauty, unlimited wisdom, unlimited strength, unlimited fame, unlimited renunciation as well, another opulence. And so when we say Krishna, it's the way of saying you are the most wonderful, attractive person, the source of all of these things that we are attracted to in each other. The source of all those things that we are seeking in relationships and things in this world. They all have their source in this personality called Krishna. So it's a very wonderful personal name, and we glorify this name. Of course, the names of the divine are unlimited because the qualities of the divine are unlimited as well. Let's take one more comment or question, and then we'll have some more chanting. Did I satisfy you? Yeah? Yeah, great. We can talk more. Yeah, all right.
What do you think about other dimensions and interdimensional beings that can travel in between dimensions?
Yeah.
And can communicate with humans?
Yes. Yeah, good.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, so the Vedic teachings describe that this world, I mean, it is one, this earth, and the reality that we perceive is just a tiny fragment of the broader reality. Sometimes it's compared like a mustard seed in a massive bag of mustard seeds. The reality, the dimensions of reality that are perceptible to us are so limited. Even what we can hear in terms of sound, it's a limited bandwidth, right? The color spectrum that we can see is not the same as the color spectrum that birds or like parrots. In Australia, we have lots of parrots. They see ultraviolet colors that we don't see. Dogs hear frequencies that we don't hear, right? They hear those very high-pitched sounds that are not perceptible to the human ear. So the bandwidth or the tuning of our senses, sensory acuity, is most limited. Reality, existence is so much greater than that. And it has other dimensions as well that are perceptible to other beings that are not non-human beings. And so these things are explained in the yoga texts. Sometimes yogis, they're able to access those other dimensions and communicate in those other dimensions. Of course, the highest dimension, it is called the spiritual dimension. And that is where it is also called the spiritual sky, where Krishna's pastimes or Krishna's activities eternally exist with other perfected spiritual beings. So these bodies are not capable of perceiving that realm or even entering that realm, but rather through a purification in yoga and an awakening of our own spiritual awareness and identity, then we can enter into that ultimate, highest spiritual dimension. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Also, one more thing. Do you like to do a third projection and astral projection when you meditate?
So we don't emphasize that. Some yogis do, and it is the focus of their activity. So asking about astral projection, that's not a focus for us in bhakti-yoga, but there are other yoga systems that do emphasize those things. We take that to sometimes be a distraction as well, because this universe is vast. There are lots of places where the soul may travel and see, but they can also be distractions from our core purpose in human life, and that is to awaken our spiritual identity and our relationship with the Supreme Divine, and to end our cycle in this material existence where we are in a cycle of birth, disease, old age, and death. Yeah. Okay, last, because your hand is raised, last comment or question, and then we're going to have some kirtan.
I thought it was really interesting in the beginning. You were talking about, Pariksha Maharaj is leaving his body in 7 days, and you just asked if you had 7 days to live, what would you do? And I mean, sometimes when that question comes up, you can feel the energy.
Yeah.
Everybody, when you start to think like that, you feel like your true self comes forward, actually.
Right.
Thinking about that. And I think everyone kind of feels it in that moment.
Right.
What's really important to me, actually. So why is it that sometimes when we contemplate death, that sobriety, that real feeling of trueness comes, and that sincerity of purpose comes, and sometimes it doesn't come when we contemplate death? Why is that?
Okay, yeah, a question here about sometimes contemplating death creates a sobriety and a sense of spiritual insight, and other times it's fear. Yeah? So at other times that is not awakened to us, and the question was why. It would depend on the context in which that awareness of death arises. When we contemplate that in a context of spiritual discourse or inquiry, then there's a greater likelihood that what you call sobriety and sense of spiritual awareness, like awareness of our spiritual identity, is awakened. Sometimes we might come close to encountering or contemplating death, but instead we experience fear and or angst, fear, existential angst, or horror. And so that's not necessarily particularly helpful. Let me conclude though, because you very nicely, and I wanted to finish up by bringing us back to Parikshit and his story. That is, after 7 days of hearing from these wise people about these topics and engaging in kirtan, he said, I'm ready, I'm not afraid. Let that curse come upon me. In fact, it is said that he could have countered it. But he said, let that come upon me. I'm not at all afraid. I'm not at all, I don't have any anxiety whatsoever. I don't have any anger towards this Brahmana who pronounced this curse. And so, before all the wise people, he was seen to face death. And he used that as a stepping stone to enter into the highest spiritual dimension of existence, ending his cyclic repetition in birth and death in this material world. And that we would consider a successful human life. All right, we're going to have some more kirtan. Thank you so much for your attention, your engagement, your responses, your questions as well.